Well, as Matt said, I'm Ron. I know a lot of you already. And I did warn him that I don't follow directions very well, so if we go off on a tangent, that's the way it is. But a lot of you know I came here in 1979 as news editor of the Morning Sun and was at the Sun for about 8 years. And then I flipped over to the dark side. Sorry, Abby. And was at Pitt State doing media relations for 30 years. And recently came back part-time to help out at the Sun and back in my old job there. So I've seen media relations from both sides. A lot's changed, but at the core, it's still very much as it always was. And I think the first thing that I would suggest is that if you're thinking about a news release and you're a nonprofit, think before you write anything, think about the why. Why are you doing this to start with? What's your ultimate goal? Do you want to get media at an event, a ribbon cutting or something like that? Or are you interested in selling tickets or getting people at a particular event? All of those things are going to sort of drive how you put together your release and how you time it. But ultimately, in the end, we're all on the same side. You've got a message, and we're wanting to share that. And so that's what we do on the news side. And I think it's very similar on the TV side. And I'm going to let Brit introduce herself. Yeah.
So my name is Brit Stack. I'm news director at KOAM. I've been at KOAM for just over 3 years now. Grew up in southeast Missouri, so if you're familiar with the Boot Hill region, that's where I grew up. So being in this area, being back in the Midwest is a homecoming for me because I've spent the past almost 20 years, oh God. Anyway, I'm 20 years bopping around the southeast part of the country, both as a newscast producer and in management and in various places. One of the things that I endeavored to do is work with folks like you all who might not be used to speaking to media or know some best practices for interviews, that sort of thing. And so helping make sure that you guys are prepared and ready and not so nervous about doing an interview on camera. So yeah, that's just a little bit about myself. Yeah. So I think you're leading the first part of this presentation.
Yeah, I guess I am. So, you know, I mentioned timing, and Brit and I visited about this, how often it happens. We'll get a release, and it will say, by the way, this is happening at 3 o'clock this afternoon. That's an extreme, but it has happened. And as I said, depending upon what your goal is, that will inform when you send that release. It's a different schedule for TV, but for the newspaper, you start by adding 24 hours and then you start backing things up. So if you're wanting to sell tickets to something, then you're jumping back maybe a week or 2 weeks so that we can get that news out, that tickets are available, that there's a deadline for signing up for something. If you're just wanting to get people in the seats, you want to be careful and not do it too early. So if you're sending something 3 weeks out, people are going to forget. So you kind of need to take that into consideration. And if you have a question, by all means, call. And we will kind of help guide you through your unique situation. It also, that why issue, also informs how you structure that release. I got one today that I thought, boy, these people know exactly what they're doing. This afternoon, CTEK and WSU are having a ribbon cutting. I got that release, and there was a little summary, told me in 2 sentences exactly what they were doing. There were bullet points and a list of speakers. I got a sense of how long it was going to take, and it was all in one page. And that's an important thing. If you actually have people who use paper once in a while, if it runs onto 2 pages, that second page can get lost. So, perfect for that kind of release. Now, you may want to do a narrative. The narrative is used in a different way. And we all know that there are a number of small newspapers out there, weeklies. I'm sure you guys have a number in your areas who will use pretty much what you send. And so if you write it in news style, you keep it clean, they may use it just as it is. Now, if it comes to me, I'm probably going to edit it, and I'll take out all of those adjectives and those nice flowery things you've said. But I may use a good part of it. So that kind of determines whether you're sending just the very basics, the bullet points, who's going to speak, what your contact information is. That's for the kind of thing that they're doing this afternoon, and usually works for us best. Any thoughts about that from TV?
Continue on.
I put social media on here, and I'm not sure.
Yeah.
If
Next slide. One more.
Next one.
There you go.
Yeah. And I really don't have a lot of passion about this, but it is frustrating from our standpoint when you send the release to us and then immediately pop it on social media. It would be better, I think, if you would time that for the event so that it's all coming out about the same time. Again, that's not going to affect whether we use the release or not, but it becomes a little bit old news. And then extras. Photos are critical. If you've got great pictures you want to share, if you have audio or video, we can use that on Facebook or online. And sometimes it's just a matter of a link to it. So that's the end of my part here. You want to go to it here.
All righty. I will say this too about social media, going back to what Ron had to say. It's different for television than it is for newspaper.
It is,
so we will post that up on our website. If something's posted on social media, take for example, we had Crawford County 2 days ago and then Cherokee County yesterday both post stories about needing help identifying where a couple of gravestones came from that they just happened to, well, one was in an evidence locker and they couldn't remember any of the details about it. And the other one was found in a stolen truck. So just that's a thing to keep in mind too. That's a little bit different from TV to newspaper. We do have a website and we do have a 5 p.m. news. So we're able to get some stuff out there a little bit more quickly than these guys can. So we're going to segue now into talking about some on-air presentation stuff. Although I think you might have put some extra slides in here. We'll see. That's okay. Raise show of hands. How many of you all have ever done an on-camera interview with a TV station? How many of y'all were scared to the point you were about to use the bathroom on yourself? I was not a reporter. I understand your fear. I tell my reporters, I do not envy what you do. You could not pay me all the money in the world to do what you do. I am also very nosy. I came up as a newscast producer, so I decided what goes in the shows. I did a lot of writing, so I knew everything that was going on every day instead of focusing on one story. But I digress. Just thank you all for being honest with that, because I empathize with never mind. You know what I'm saying. So, communicating with the press. Ron's really talked about press releases. We do have other ways of contacting us. You can give us a phone call. You can send a media advisory, which is a little bit different than a press release. And then we also, of course, in person. So when it comes to our phone calls, usually we're getting a phone call from an agency or a news tip, that sort of thing, when it's an urgent, immediate information. So it's also checking in that we received an email. We get hundreds of emails every day. So it's appreciated. Also because our junk email filters, how many of y'all accidentally have something go to a very important email go to junk mail? All the time. Calling to check in that we got something if you haven't heard from us, good practice. But also gives us an opportunity to discuss coverage ideas. Ron didn't talk about this, but many newspapers, many TV stations, our reporters have what are called beats. So I have, for example, one reporter who has a beat. He has a topical beat that's education, and then he also has ties to Ottawa County, Oklahoma, so he also covers a lot of stuff in Ottawa County. Doesn't mean he just covers education in Ottawa County. He covers education in our entire viewing area, including our 8 Southeast Kansas counties that we cover. Well, technically 9, but Montgomery County is technically Tulsa, but anyway. That's just one of the things that we do. We have reporters that focus on education, reporters that focus on the arts community. We have folks that are interested in government. And then we have general assignment reporters that just like to be nosy about everything, which is great. So making those contacts with us and allowing us to help you get in touch with that reporter who maybe is a little bit more focused on the topic that your group specifically works with allows for you to have a direct ear and more likely to get coverage of whatever is going on with your group. So media advisory, Ron kind of talked about this. It's just a little bit different, I think, wordage that we use. Media advisory is basically like a very short press release that we will get that comes before an event. It's basically communicates the who, what, when, where, why. Also, not just why that it matters to the community, but also why it matters to me as the media person. Yes?
How far in advance?
So for television, it really depends, because we do know that there is going to be stuff that does pop up. A good rule of thumb is at least 3 days out and no more than a week out, because a week out, before a week out, it can get lost in the shuffle. 3 days out, I'll be honest, this morning I was sitting and looking and putting together our coverage planner for our crews that work Saturday. So if that gives you an idea how far out we sometimes work, I would say at least 3 days. Again, completely understand, things are gonna pop up. I was talking to Matt and Ron, what was that, Monday? Mm-hmm. And I talked about, we had one school district on the other side of the state line that sent me a text message at 7 a.m. for an 8 a.m. event. Well, sitting there texting Trevor, my morning videographer, hey Trevor, can you get over to XYZ school? Okay, you can, great, thanks. Sorry, hopefully you're not having to drive all the way from like Coffeyville or something, because that has happened before. Thankfully, he has not gotten a speeding ticket in those situations, because, yeah, long distance. So, media advisories are going to communicate, again, the who, what, when, where, why. It also communicates who is the point of contact for your organization. So if we have questions before the event, questions after the event, who should the reporter or videographer be looking for at the event to make contact with. Also, includes a short bit of info about what's happening. Again, that ties into your why, that ties into your how. As Ron mentioned with writing press releases, those are the timing all depends. But in this case, when we're talking about an event, it's typically after the event. It's a comprehensive overview of the announcement or what happened. And it usually includes at least one photo, which is very helpful because he feeds a newspaper beast that uses photos. We feed a web beast that uses photos. If you have the capability and know how to shoot video and are able to send a video link, that's also very helpful. We've worked with folks from other organizations in the past who just sent us a little clip of video that we can put with the story, and it works great. And press releases are typically gonna include your quotes, your stats, the kind of boring stuff that makes me not want to read a media advisory, that goes in a press release. Moving really into the meat of what I'm here to talk about though, we're gonna talk about in-person interviews. So when you get a request for an in-person interview, first rule, don't be scared. Second rule, ask, is it going to be live or pre-recorded? 99% of the time, it is a pre-recorded interview, and that works in your favor. Why? Because you can mess up and start over. We don't run on film anymore, guys. We got these nice little cards that have so much space on them that we can ask the question and start your quote over again. It's great for that reason. So you're gonna ask if it's live or recorded. One of the things that might take a little getting used to is you're never going to look directly at the camera. Do not look at the camera. I've seen people do that. You know, reporters do it, but you know, some people have those like the crazy eye stare. So imagine that coming through your TV, like as you're watching it. Yeah, don't be the creepy-eyed stared person during that interview. So don't look at the camera. Typically, your reporter, your videographer, whoever is asking you the questions is going to be standing right beside the camera. That's who you're looking at. You're having a conversation with that reporter or videographer. It also helps you forget that the camera is there. Again, helping ease off those nerves a little bit. For your sanity and to remind yourself of what the question is that you're supposed to be answering, repeat part of the question and the answer. It's gonna make your life a lot easier, and it'll help keep your answer shorter. Couple of other items. If it's an outside interview, don't wear sunglasses, don't wear a hat. It's gonna block your face on the camera. Work with the reporter so that you know you're not getting blinded by the sun, but you also don't need the sunglasses or hat. Also, again, don't be afraid to ask, just restart an answer. Happens all the time. From people who are pros, have been interviewed hundreds of times by reporters to folks who have been interviewed 2 or 3 times. Don't be scared to ask to restart. It's not live TV 99% of the time. It's not like you're performing in an opera and you can't restart, okay? Relax. Also, keep it simple. Keep your answers short and to the point. Just all you need to worry about is answering what exactly they asked for each question. Allow the reporter or the videographer to ask those follow-up questions because A, stress off of you, B, it makes the reporter's job easier. They have to go back and cut all these video into sound bites. Most of that interview that you just did, that 3-minute interview with the reporter, they're gonna choose 15 to 25 seconds most of the time. So if you can keep some shorter answers, makes it a lot easier for everyone when trying to edit, makes it easier on you so you're not sitting there with runoff of the mouth, which like I know I get. So if I start rambling, someone just shoot your hand up, okay? Yes, sir.
On your first one, don't wear sunglasses.
Yes.
For those As the wear glasses, also remember you have photosensitive glasses.
Yes, yes.
I got caught with that.
Yes. Funny story I will share. We actually have run into an issue with those transition lenses inside the KOAM studio. If you've ever been in our studio or in any TV studio, those lights are super bright. So we had one of our anchors, who will remain unnamed, decide to get some new glasses. They had transition lens, and about halfway through the newscast, they realized, wait a minute, why is it getting harder to read the prompter? These are new glasses, this shouldn't be happening. Anyway, turns out their transition lenses were transitioning to sunglasses. Needless to say, the next day they had to go back to the eye doctor and order another pair of glasses that didn't have the transition whatever feature on them. So just, we understand that sometimes we have to work with that sort of thing. However, just for those of us who are blessed with not needing glasses, or who have had like LASIK and don't have to wear glasses or might wear contacts, just pop those sunglasses off for a few minutes. Any other questions real quick? This is very important, I think, for any group, you all, me, for Ron. What happens if something changes or needs corrected after you send out that press release, after you do that interview? It happens. We get it, okay? Circumstances change, facts change. You might have been told some information that, oh, come to find out, that wasn't quite right, so you're having to correct somebody else's mistake. Hate when that happens. So if it's a same day change for an event, call. Best thing to do is to call us, because again, we get so many emails, and if it's something that needs changed right away, if it's something about a shoot time or shoot location, or after the interview, you need to clarify some information about a dollar amount, for example, or the location of an upcoming event, then give us a call. If it's a change or correction to like a press release or media advisory that was sent before the event, email's fine, unless it's something that is going to impact like what we might have posted, if we have posted something on our website about it beforehand and you happen to see it. Again, if it's an urgent update, call. We've got direct lines at our TV stations. I'm gonna have my contact info with I think my direct line's on it. At the end of this, give us a shout. I will say that I do have my work line, which rings to my cell phone, typically shuts down after 6 p.m. in the evening, because I like to go home and watch reruns of Dog the Bounty Hunter. So, so yeah. It's trash TV, it's mindless, you know. It's better than sitting there and watching Shannon Becker, Joplin News First, who works for KOAM. It's better than just sitting there and watching his live from the SWAT situation in East Town, or the SWAT situation on Range Line by the Brahms from a couple weeks ago. So you got to relax somehow, right? And remember, social media post, not the same as a media advisory or press release. Social media is good. I love being able to share photos of my niece and my nephew with my friends, thanks to social media. However, now we have, like Facebook used to be, you know, Facebook, you could post something, it would pop up in the timeline, it was all in order of chronologically based on what time who posted what, right? And if you had a Facebook page that you followed and you clicked the little button, that you would get a nice little red notification whenever that page posted, you'd get a notification in seconds after that post went up. Well, that ain't the way of the world anymore, unfortunately. It's vital that you go ahead and you send a media advisory or press release to us, so that if you're wanting coverage, that's the only way we can guarantee that we see it. If you email it, if you call it, heck, if you send it to us in a Facebook message, we're gonna see that over your Facebook post just on your page. That's not to say don't post to your Facebook page, obviously. I mean, I think that my newsroom would not laugh as much if the Crawford County Sheriff's Office stopped posting to their Facebook page, right? So just remember, you can't always rely on social media anymore. And that's my contact info. So yeah, news director, I probably should have better explained what that means. That means that I have to boss 30 people around day in and day out and do a whole heck of a lot of paperwork. Reporters, anything like that, meteorologist, our weather team, our digital team, they all report to me. So I hear about it all. And so if you have questions, if there's a story you're wanting set up, if you're trying to get hold of a particular reporter, give me a shout. I can help you with that. How much time do we have left? Plenty? Okay. Well, I was going to do a fun little exercise, but okay. I know that there's probably some questions, so let's do questions first.
And I would just tack on one thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Something that Brit said, I want to emphasize. If you've been tasked with doing the news side for your organization, get to know the media that you're dealing with. Know their schedules, know what their deadlines are. Don't be afraid to give us a call and ask our advice. You know you've got something that you want to get out, call and find out when it's best to send it. Or if there's someone in the organization it should go to, who to send it to. So we're nice people. We're busy, but yes. We're nice, and we're happy to talk to you.
Yeah, because y'all, what time do y'all have to have everything done every day?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So what time does that mean that press releases need to get to you or whomever's on the news desk?
If it's for that day, get it to me early, in the morning, and preferably the day before. But I can still deal with it that morning.
Whereas, I was going to say, just for us, it's a little bit different. We'll get breaking news and I feel like we've had a bunch of child molestation arrests here recently. I know. Anyway, that's just KBIs on a roll. Anyway, so we'll get those at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we can turn those around real quick for 5 and 6. Yeah. So it's just feeding different beasts, but the same beast, just the cousins, I guess.
So.
All right.
Okay, questions. Yeah.
Oh, there's a next slide. Nice.
Questions, yeah.
Okay, you had a question.
Yeah, where do you send a press release? Do you do the generic news app, whatever?
Yeah, for us, you can send it news@morningsun.net. And again, if you know someone in particular, I mean, mine is just rwomble@morningsun.net. Or if there's a reporter you're used to working with, you're welcome to send it directly to them. Or the great thing is copy. Send it to the individual, but copy to news, and that way we all see it.
Yeah. So I know that ours is like, it's not a mouthful because you're not saying it, you're typing it out. Is that a fingerful, a handful? I don't know. Anyway, to type out all that, KOAMnewsnow.com. If you send it to bstack@koamtv.com or news@koamtv.com, that also works. Trick. So I will say that if there's a particular reporter that you're wanting to reach out to, in our organization, it's very easy because it's always first initial, last name at koamnewsnow.com. So like, we've got Samantha Walker. She's actually going to come cover the press conference at 2 o'clock. swalker@koamnewsnow.com. And our new government reporter who just started Monday, B. Gully, his name's Blake, B. Gully @koamnewsnow.com. So pretty easy little naming scheme for emails there.
I had a question for Ron. If we have a news release, press release that we send to the paper for an event that's coming up, then can we also put it, and I know, what's the difference between club notes and calendar?
Oh, yeah.
I always get confused.
And we're pretty liberal with that.
That's good.
Yeah. Back 30 years ago, we would have charged you for it. But yeah.
That's great, I love it.
Yeah, it's free stuff. And Dustin Strong handles all of those. And so if it's club notes, that's usually an organization and they have certain things that they do. It's bingo, it's whatever, or meetings.
Recurring thing.
Yeah, it's a recurring thing. Calendar information, sometimes that's a one-off. And just put it up at the top for calendar, and we'll make sure that that's where it goes. Yeah.
I will say it's a little bit harder to find. We also have a calendar of events on our website. It's under the community section. And that's free. We just ask that you submit the information yourself into it, and that can be recurring events. You can set it up for recurring events or for one-off events as well.
So it's on the KOM website under what?
Community?
Community.
Yes, ma'am.
Sarah?
Question for you, Ron. You mentioned the calendar of events. So the way that you manage your calendar of events is obviously a little bit different than you do like news coverage of a media release. I used to think naively that if I sent you a press release a week before,
That
you were
we
gonna
would just
then
put it
plug
in.
it into the calendar of events.
Oh, yeah, that's not going to happen that way.
I know that now, but I think it's important to make a differentiation so that your team, whoever's in charge of that, and then we on the other side know how that works so that we can get you the best information.
Which brings up a good question. If you've sent something and it wasn't used or wasn't used the way you expected it to be, call and find out why. Sometimes people make mistakes. They just screw up. Things fall through the cracks. But sometimes it may be an issue with the way it came to us, when it came to us. So yeah, don't just get frustrated and say, well, I'm not going to send that anymore. Call and find out, and we'll find a way to make it happen the right way.
Anyone can accidentally end up in junk mail. I routinely have to go in and reset our filter because Oklahoma Department of Health likes to end up in our junk mail folder. I've had Pittsburgh schools end up in our junk mail folder before. So it's an ongoing fight, partially because several years ago, I think like many media organizations across the country, we had a little fun time with someone who tried to hack us and all that jazz. So now our corporate digital people and email people are very strict on what gets through. And if anything looks even a little bit off, it might end up in the junk folder.
If you send a picture or a document, is there a certain format you want us to use?
For us, the easiest way is JPEG or PDF.
If we are having a annual fundraiser, is it acceptable to put in a picture from the prior year?
Sure.
So that so you could get it in the morning of the event or something?
Yeah.
And it's also very helpful for our web folks, as we call them, our digital homies. I didn't name them; they named themselves. It's very helpful because then we don't have to go scrounging through our digital archive trying to find something that we hope that whoever covered it last year labeled correctly. So.
And it is fun. I mean, we have people walk in all the time with photos that we can scan and return back to you. There are still physical photos out there.
Ron, what was your comment about the scheduling of social media posts?
And that's just me personally. I feel better when the story that you've written or the information you've sent comes up about the same time that we're receiving it, or it's going out in the paper, or it's out in the public. Not a big deal if you go ahead and just do it immediately, but particularly if it's a big story, you kind of want to time that so it all happens simultaneously.
Like for extension, we have a lot of classes that we
Oh yeah,
promote and push out. Like so,
that would not be an
on
issue.
Social media, then send it to you to like help remind the public.
Yeah,
the week
yeah,
before.
that would not be an issue. I'm thinking about the significant stories, and you're wanting to get a big splash out of it, and then you kind of step on your own story a little bit.
That being said, because we do work on different
Yeah.
timelines, if there is something that you want to not be released until a certain time, please make sure to mark it. Do not release until 5 p.m. or after, or
Yeah.
we call it an embargo. So you can also just label it embargoed until 5 p.m. or after. We actually have one of those today. So
Yeah, we did.
thanks, Matt.
I'm kind of curious, what is your range for circulation?
For circulation, you're looking at, we have both online and print. So you got 2,000 to 3,000 print now, and a growing number of online. Increasing, I'm an old guy. I love holding that physical paper, sitting down with my coffee and reading the paper. But the world is changing. And for example, the story that you will see in tomorrow's paper, you can read online this afternoon because it's there. As soon as we finish it, we post it online. And so increasingly, I think that's where you're seeing newspapers move.
I like my paper.
Well, and
No, like,
yeah.
I don't get my paper until 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
It comes by mail.
I know.
And you're lucky you don't live 2 counties away.
Yeah. I'll tell you for us, and I just happen to have our numbers, and this is for July. So when I refer to a household that's standard, I think the average is at least 2.5 people make up one household. So our 6 p.m. news Monday through Friday, which is our predominantly most watched newscast across all age groups, we had more than 21,000 households tuning in. So that's 18 to 50 plus. So
Per day.
that is the average per day, Monday through Friday. That does not include our weekend shows. So
And you
a little bit
cover
different.
how
A
many
lot.
counties?
Okay, so officially, so there's this group called Nielsen that puts together these things called designated market areas. So officially, we cover 8 counties in southeast Kansas, 5 in southwest Missouri, and 1 in northeast Oklahoma. However, folks in Delaware County aren't exactly pleased with how Tulsa is covering them. They're technically Tulsa's DMA. So we cover Delaware County and Oklahoma. Same story with Montgomery County, Kansas. And then we also pick up a lot of Berry County, Missouri, just because a lot of people like to go camping at Roaring River or go down to Table Rock, which spills over a little bit into Berry County. So,
And for us, when I first came all those years ago, we would have a full complement of national, statewide, multi-county news. We are hyper-local focused. The Morning Sun today stays basically within Crawford County. So, we'll be at Arma School Board, Arma City Commission, Girard, all of those kind of things, really focusing on what's happening within a few minutes of Pittsburgh in a lot of ways.
you guys mentioned a little bit, working with like individual reporters. I guess what leeway or authority do they have if we have a relationship with one and send them a text message about covering something? Do they have to run that by you all? Should we include you all in that loop, or do they get to make their own decisions on what they can cover sometimes?
They always keep me in the loop. Yeah, because I'm making the decision about who's where and what goes in the paper every day. So, yeah, you can communicate with them, but it's going to come to me.
We have some of our more seasoned reporters, like they'll basically check in and say, hey, I've got XYZ lined up for tomorrow. Are we cool with that? That kind of thing. But yeah, like him, it's in the keeping us in the loop type of deal, because there are occasions when it's like, ooh, can you see if you can actually do that story the next day? I really need you to do this because of whatever reason. Or, sometimes we have to move reporters off to cover breaking news, which is unfortunately just the way of the world. So. Anyone else?
Awfully quiet.
I know.
So you're all experts now.
Like anything, it's usually built on relationships. Right?
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for us as how to build a foundational relationship with reporters and yourself, and how we can foster that?
Oh gosh.
I'll offer a suggestion.
Okay.
Pizza on election night.
Pizza on election night. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hey, if I don't have to drive into town to pick up Opie's, and if someone wants to deliver, I'll be happy. That's my job.
I won't. He's not there anymore, and it wasn't even with your station. But there was always one reporter I knew that if we had donuts in the office, we'd see him. So, yeah.
I would say just drop us a note, invite us to your meeting. I will tell you, I recently was invited to the Intertribal Council meeting to speak to the tribal leaders in Ottawa County about how we can be better community partners with them. So if you have a board meeting or even just a small group meeting within your organization, feel free to invite the reporter, invite me, just to kind of talk about, what can we do? It's a conversation. What can we do to make sure that your story is being told? Because ultimately that's what we focus on, like y'all do, is telling the stories of our community, building empathy between different members of our community, helping you all find volunteers, donations, whatever, what have you. And we can't do that without communication.
This is not our task today. This is a subject for an entirely different meeting, but there are always those issues when the news isn't good, and it's difficult, or there's a crisis. And so having that good relationship that you've already built will pay off in the long run when times are not nearly so fun.
Just to kind of go along with that, over the years, I've been interviewed by a TV reporter, and they came to my house, and it created a very comfortable situation. And every time we saw each other, interacted, it was always nice. She made me feel comfortable. She's not in the area anymore, but I still am friends with her, and I follow her, because when they make you feel comfortable, and I've been in the other situation where they made you nerve-wracking because they said they were going to ask these questions and they didn't, and so you have to be prepared. But most of them are pretty easy to get along with. It's a big difference.
And that's another thing too. If there is a specific place, if we're working on a story with you and it's not necessarily tied into like a day of event, like a ribbon cutting or that sort of thing, but it's tied into maybe an upcoming event that's maybe being held outside of your office, think about, maybe meeting up where that event's happening, because it also does help give the viewer or the reader an idea, oh yeah, that's right, this is where it's gonna be.
Yeah. Sarah?
Linda touched on something that was interesting. So when you assign somebody to a story, they're not always going to tell the person they're interviewing what they're going to ask, right? That's not really a standard practice. But what I've found helpful is asking them what information they need. That way, I know at least, I get an idea of what they're probably going to ask me in order to get that information. And then I don't feel quite as caught off guard if they ask me something that I can't answer right in that moment, and I'm not standing.
Yeah, and that's very helpful because I especially work with a lot of what I call early career journalists. So these are journalists right out of college. This is their first job, sometimes their second job, and so they're still getting in the groove of asking questions and what questions need to be asked. And if they're coming here from a completely different area of the country, things are not apples to apples. It's apples to oranges. Like I mentioned Blake earlier, he just joined us. He's been living in the Atlanta area, just graduated from Georgia State University. We have another new reporter starting later this month. His name's Kenny. He is joining us. He just graduated from Hofstra University, grew up on Long Island. So it's going to be really different for him. I told him, buddy, just wait until you get tornado season.
Tell him to hydrate.
So.
I think sometimes we don't realize how fortunate we are. A town this size.
You know, I was a subscriber for so long, and then there was less and less and less local news in the paper. You open it up, and it's all these reports, and there's nothing in there. And I dropped my subscription for the first time in 40 odd years, and then just in the past couple of years, resubscribed. That's what I want to read.
Good. I appreciate that.
Kevin, would you like to say a couple words about the Support Local Journalism Fund, what it does to help newspapers in the area?
Sure.
So I didn't tell you I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
And Ron can probably speak as well. Devin Warren Community Foundation in Southeast Kansas. It's been a year and a half ago or so. We partnered with the Morning Sun. Hopefully you've seen on a lot of articles in the paper or online where it says that the article was supported by the Support Local Journalism Fund, or supporting local news. And it's an initiative that we helped sort of launch to make local news possible and sustainable here in our county. We're one of the first ones, if not the only one in the state. Wichita is doing something a little similar to support local news, local journalism. So many papers have closed across the country and across the nation. You don't get coverage on city council meetings. You don't get coverage of local news. We wanted to make sure that we had that here. So there's a number of people in the room that were involved with that. It's a model we're hoping that we can clone, and have talked with another community here in Southeast Kansas about doing that too, just to figure out how to connect private dollars and philanthropy with making sure local news is covered, and that our newspapers can continue to employ enough staff to cover important local news for our community. So a good initiative, and I think that's one of the reasons that the paper's able to do that and does such a tremendous job of covering local events these days, and so drastically different than a number of years ago. So,
What was your organization again?
Community Foundation of Southeast Kansas.
So everyone remember how I mentioned Sam Walker earlier and how she has come to cover? That's Sam. She just walked in. Everyone say hi, Sam. So I wanted to make sure you all recognize her face. So I mentioned, beat system and everything. So Sam primarily focuses on Jasper and Newton County in Missouri and Crawford and Cherokee County in Kansas. So if you have a card, spam her with your card on your way out the door, okay?
And our guy back there is Aaron Pyle. He actually has relatives in the room. I won't embarrass him. But he does a great job covering local for us.